When you watch a film or a video, imagine what it's like without sound. It doesn't matter if you are making a big-budget feature film or just a home video. Good sound is a vital part of the process of visual media. Sound adds depth and realism to visual images, which immerses the viewer in the experience and builds an emotional connection with the visual content. Sound effects, ambience, dialogue, and music are all important components of a cinematic experience. Sound design is the process of specifying, acquiring, and manipulating audio elements that are used in modern filmmaking.
My name is Jason Edwards. I'm the owner and founder of New Crackle, and I do sound design and mix for television, independent film, documentary. For me, sound design is the way that I describe this to most people is that when you're watching a film or you're watching a television show, there's things that don't exist in reality, be it a spaceship or a monster or, a magical sword. And it's my job to create a sonic fingerprint or characteristic for those visuals that we see on television. In addition to sound design, I do a lot of other things. I do sound editorial, Foley, ADR, dialogue editing, and in addition to that, one of the things I love to do that gets me out of the studio is go out and do field recording. Today what we're going to do is we're going to head out and we're going to go out into the stormy, rainy, unpredictable wilds of Oregon, and we're going to try and record some river sounds and waterfall sounds and rapids for an upcoming documentary that I'm working on.
Jason will add this river ambience to the documentary in 5.1 surround sound.
Most people know surround through being in a theater, their home theater systems where we have 5 speakers plus a subwoofer. We have our left, center, right surround, and LFE channel. And we basically reproduce that when we go out in the field, but instead of speakers, we have microphones. So we go out with 6 microphones, and they mount to a surround tree. And we have a left, center, right microphone, which I use the Audix SCX25s for my left, center, right. Then my left surround, right surround are the SCX1s with a cardioid capsule. And then for my LFE channel, I'm using an Audix D6.
Jason often has to go out in search of sounds for the films that he works on. In order to capture the 5.1 surround sound in remote locations, Jason has designed and built a custom microphone surround tree that he can strap on his back and take with him.
When I got into surround recording, I did a lot of research and poked around for different surround trees, which is a big microphone mount that basically allows you to mount 6 microphones so that you can reproduce this 5.1 effect. I quickly was deterred by the cost, the price tag that went along with a lot of these surround trees. And I'm a bit of a DIY guy. If I can do it myself, I'll do it myself, even if it takes me more time and money to do it myself than it does to just go out and buy it. But I was able to cobble together a really functional, really great surround tree from standard parts from Home Depot. And the whole thing probably cost me about $100 versus the several $1,000 price tag of comparable systems. And in addition to that, the great thing is the whole thing comes apart, can pack away into a really small, relatively small case. And I can also throw the thing on a backpack that I can take up into the mountains and take down a river and, basically get away from mankind and go out and get some pristine sounds.
We followed Jason as he ventured into the forests and rivers east of Portland, Oregon, in search of suitable river sounds for the documentary. His audio gear, consisting of the 6 Audix microphones, cables, hard disk recorder, mic tree, and stand, all fit neatly onto his backpack frame and can be easily transported in the back of his pickup truck. Jason heads up the trail towards the river and hopefully the perfect audio for the project. While the pack is fairly light and well designed for carrying all the gear that Jason needs to record, it is quite large and bulky, and Jason has to navigate the twists and turns of the trail. Finally, Jason gets to the waterfall at the end of the trail. The melting snow from Oregon's Mount Hood has helped to create a spectacular waterfall, and the sound of tons of water falling might be perfect for the documentary. Jason begins his first setup for the day, removing each component from his pack and assembling the surround tree. He adjusts the microphones to capture the full audio spectrum coming from the falls, from the high-frequency sizzle of the foaming water hitting the rock walls to the low-frequency impact of the water smashing into water at the base of the falls. The transparency of the Audix SCX25A microphones is essential in recording just what Jason hears, adding no tonal coloration to the sound. The Audix D6 is designed to reproduce very low frequency sounds such as kick drum or bass guitar. So here, Jason is utilizing that quality of the mic to capture the thundering lows of the rushing water. Let's compare the sound of Jason's recording equipment to the audio that my video camera picks up. I'm using a professional high-definition video camera with a built-in stereo microphone. Jason's sound has a lot more detail and wider frequency response, which adds more drama to the sound that he will eventually use in the film. After a few minutes of sound recording, Jason takes down and repacks his gear, and he's off in search of different kinds of river ambience. He's listening for river ambience at different distances from the river to match up with his existing video footage. We continue down the path, stopping at several places to repeat the process of unpacking, setting up, recording, and repacking his gear. Finally, Jason has recorded enough audio, and we head back to the studio to load the sounds into the audio editor and match it up with the video.
So we're back in the studio. We spent the afternoon recording waterfall, over rapids, general river ambience for this kayaking documentary. And first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to plug in my field recorder, import those tracks into Pro Tools. I'm working in 24-bit 96 kilohertz. And there's a couple little things that I do to kind of clean up the audio and to tweak it out so that it's usable for kind of what I want to use it for. First thing I've done previous to going out and recording is I've sampled the preamps from my field recorder. And I use this to do noise reduction on the actual recording. So I cranked up the gain all the way with no microphone into it and just recorded 10 seconds of the noise that the preamp makes. I then load that into Z-Noise, which is a Waves noise reduction plugin. And that's what I use to create my noise reduction filter. Then what I do is I apply that filter to those recordings. So it removes the noise of those preamps out of my recordings. So next thing we're going to do is after I do the noise reduction to kind of remove the sound of the recorder preamps from my recording is I'll apply some EQing to it. And typically I'm doing this to really bring out what I think is interesting about the recording. The recordings sound amazing the way that they come in. They're very clean, they're very pristine. I feel like these microphones do a really good job of recording the world the way that I hear it. And that's why I really like to use the SCX25s and the SCX1s. They're just really clean, clear mics that, like I said, really capture the world the way that I feel like I hear it. But that being said, in post-production, we got to make things bigger than life. They can't sound real. They got to sound bigger than real. So I'll go in with some EQs and elevate the low end a little bit to really give the LFE channel some rumble. I'll pick out some mid frequencies to kind of find the textures and the interesting parts of those recordings and help bring them out, help them rise above the surface of the kind of general white noise of the sound of the waterfall. And then from there I'm just exporting 6-channel interleaves 24-bit 96K files that get added to my library. And the kayaking documentary, if I have a shot of a waterfall, it's not just going to be one waterfall sound. It's going to be that in combination with some LFE, some low frequency rumbles, and I'll take recordings of streams that have like a little bit more bubbly texture, where you don't get the white noise, you get more of the texture of the water, and add those in. So typically like something like a waterfall is going to be 5, 6, 7 things layered on top of each other to create that really dramatic, really textured sound of that waterfall. What I'm doing is not limited to professionals. It's not limited to people with a big budget. I don't think that these techniques, the technology, the the time or the interest to go out and do these things should be limited to theatrical films or television shows or documentaries. I think if you're making a home movie, if you're trying to make your own independent film, you should be thinking about these things from the start. And I think that people will find it's not only fun, but it really increases the quality and the viewability of their product, of what they're making, be it home video or independent film. There's a few reasons that I love the Audix microphones. The main reason that I go out in the field with the Audix SCX 25s is size and portability. There's virtually, that I know of, no other large diaphragm microphone that has as a footprint as the Audix SCX 25s do, which makes them very portable and very feasible to take out in the field. In addition to that, the way the microphones sound is they're very clean, they're very clear, they're very transparent microphones. I rarely, when I listen back to my recordings, I'm never thinking about the microphone. I'm never hearing the microphone. I'm hearing what I went out and recorded. And for what I do, that's really important. I don't want it's not like music. I don't want that preamp or that microphone that's going to color the vocal or color that performance in a different way and add that characteristic. I want reality. When I go out in the field and do field recording, I want to hear reality when I bring that back into the studio. And from my experience, the Audix line of microphones, specifically the SCX25 and the SCX1s, do a brilliant job of that for me.
Audix thanks Jason for showing us his on-location recording process and giving us a glimpse into the world of sound design. Find out more about Jason and the work he does at his website, www.newcrackle.com. Visit the Audix website, www.audixusa.com, for more information on the microphones that Jason uses.